booklet in Spanish. You remember we, through the many years prior to COVID, sent the 3 Bible studies to prisoners. You remember that?
Yes.
God, man, and sin,
Right.
and salvation. And so our brethren had already completed God and the second book, Man and Sin. On Thursday, we were able to pick up the final edition of this, and I brought 30 of these down. They're under the shelf over here for Brother Leon Johnson when he comes at some point this week. And these will be headed, these 30, will be headed with him to Mexico when he goes here next month. So we're delighted to have this one finally done after a long, long time of working and proofreading, and somebody else proofreading, and somebody else proofreading, and somebody else proofreading. So it's just a process. So we're glad to have this one finally done. Encourage you to continue to remember us in prayer as we see the Lord allow us to distribute some of these. On June 30th, that would be Nita Cox's last day. For me, this is a sad day. Nita has, I've written it, I've spoken this, I've told everybody, Nita is the glue that has held all of this together for a long time. Her gifts are amazing. Her attention to detail is amazing. We finally got behind in getting our newsletters out because Nita's been spending the time training Judy Harrell, who's going to take over her position. So it's not enough hours in the day to do everything. So we've gotten behind. We finally have the English-speaking Bible Journal. As I said, you should be receiving it. Those of you that are on the mailing list. We have the Russian edition of that. It's now out. Hoping that's going to start circulating in the Russian community soon. And the trumpet, we finally got that to the printer, and that will be sent off here. We're hoping within the next week or two as well. So, Nita, I think I've gotten all of the corrections done in the newsletter. And she had taken a couple of days off. She comes back, I hand it to her, and there's these red marks all over the place. And she's picked up on just little details. It wasn't, big, glaring mistakes. Just the little details that, your brain reads something 2, 3, 4 times, and you just don't see it. So that is going to take Judy some time to develop that attention to detail. So the future editions of these that come out, you are welcome to take a red pen, mark it up all you want, and send it back to me, and I'll maybe learn how to get this job done at some point in the future. So Nita is going to be, she is a great loss. She's been a great sister. We wanted to do more for her in the retirement. Even the articles that I've written, she's complained about. Because she doesn't want any recognition. She didn't, and so it's something that, one of the things that she had red marked was a comment that I had made about her. She wanted me to remove that. I said, go back to your office and sit down. And I said, Nita, you are an amazing woman.
Good.
I want you to know, I count you, you are an amazing woman. I'm grateful for you. And I'm going to really miss having you So on June 30th, that's her last day. You pray for her. She's still trying to wrestle as to what the Lord wants her to do. She turns 70 years old on that day. And so that'll be her, June 30th will be her last day with us. Appreciate you praying for Judy. Judy's made great strides, but there's just an awful lot to this. There's so many facets of things that we have that we're a part of. That she's going to be missed. It's going to take Judy some time. She can do the basics. Judy can obviously do the basics. And Nita's going to be available. It's not like Nita will no longer have anything to do with us. In fact, I even offered to her if she wanted to just work part-time until she got herself figured out. She said no. She's ready to be done. Because this is a lot of stress.
Yes.
And Bob caused a lot of stress. I've caused a lot of stress. She's ready to be done. So you pray for Nita and certainly pray for Judy as she steps into this role. Brother Brandon is doing an amazing job. You'll enjoy him. He's just himself. He's out there and he's having tremendous opportunities. He has I don't know how many books he has sold. He's getting into a lot of churches that don't know they don't even know who James Stewart is. Mm. So learning about this ministry, learning about the Russian Bible Society, learning about revival as revival literature has been able to produce materials to stir the hearts of God's people in that way. Yeah. Brandon's been doing a tremendous job, and just door after door after door after door is opening up for him. So, Brother Bob had limited time, limited energy, as anybody only has limited time and limited energy. He invested in Peachtree. He invested in faith there in Gainesville. There were places that he had gone and had continued to go year after year, but there are many, many churches on our mailing list that, to my knowledge, if Bob had gone there, it might have been 30 years ago. So Brandon is bringing in a lot of new churches, a lot of interest in his responsibilities within the ministry. So I'm encouraged to have Brother Brandon there, and he's got a good work ethic, and this is going to be very good as we hit our stride at some point in the future. We have a number of books that are getting low. I'm going to have to. This is one of the things that I dreaded from 2001 until I left in 2012. Remember, I was always afraid Bob Doom was going to just suddenly drop dead, and no one would know how to do all of this stuff that he's been doing, especially in the printing. Well, guess what? Bob Doom died. And I don't know, I've got some of the documentation, but working through that process, hey, this is new to me. So do you understand? I greatly need a lot of prayer. To wrap my arms around how to do this, the different printing companies that are out there. Please just remember us in prayer as we begin to pursue all this. Finally, and in the Russian Bible Society journal, the journal that you should be receiving soon, I'll tell you briefly here through Brother David Morris. How many of you know Brother David Morris? Evangelist David Morris. He called me just prior to our May meeting. board meeting. He and his wife wanted to send some Ukrainian New Testaments over, or give money so that we could send you. We've sold all of our Ukrainian. It's gone. Everybody's wanted it all across the country. So all of the Ukrainian material that we had is gone. So she's asking, well, is there something we can do? Can we donate money? So in the process of the conversation with Brother David Morris, he tells me about a Plymouth Brethren Fellowship that he has ministered to in the Raleigh, North Carolina area for about 30 years. Goes and preaches for them, on occasion. I don't want to get in the whole length of the story here, but he tells me about someone in this congregation who's had a ministry for 38 years, sending Christian literature into, so far, 99 countries. It's called Crossing All Borders, name of the ministry. And these folks are well known with Graham Franklin, Samaritan's Purse, and some of these other ministries. Because if somebody wants to donate something that Samaritan Purse or these other ministries can't use, they say, well, call this lady. She takes everything. And so, some way, somehow, she finds somebody in the world that can use something that nobody else needs. It's a unique ministry of faith. Again, I don't want to tell you all the stories here, but it is through this lady who just recently came in contact with a Ukrainian pastor in Greensboro, North Carolina, pastoring a little handful of Ukrainian people in Greensboro, North Carolina. His brother is a pastor in the Ukraine. This man has somehow gotten feelers all over the state of North Carolina, and he's getting things donated from here and here and here. They have already sent, I believe, 12 containers full of a little bit of everything. Well, they had run out of things in Russian. Well, of course, who's fighting the Ukrainians? Russians. So the Ukrainians right now are not too excited about receiving anything in Russian, but they needed Russian material. So I said, the whole ball started rolling. The long and short of it is, we've sent several thousand Russian Bibles, and they're going to do their best to get these to the Russians, because the Ukrainians are not so much interested in them. All of this container now is headed to Poland, Poland into the Ukraine. You read the story. I don't want to tell it to you. I'll let you read the story in the journal to fill in the blank. But Milton Martin, something came back. This would have been sometime in the 1980s. Brother Bob had a conference for the missionaries of GBM to meet, and Brother Milton Martin came and spoke in that meeting, as did, I think, Brother Shaw. One of the stories I remember about Milton Martin was something about flying into the jungle areas of Mexico and tossing tracts out the window.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Thousands.
Okay. One of the things they needed were Russian tracts. We have had sitting on the shelf 76,000 God's Simple Plan of Salvation in Russian. They've been sitting there for years. One is sold, 100 sold, just a trickle down that's gone out through the years. So I said, well, we've got all these tracts. Can you use them? They're perfect. Something has also been donated. Drones. Drones have been donated. Now they've been using the drones because there's been so many roads that have been destroyed or damaged. So they've actually been using drones as the shipments have come into the Ukraine to figure out where the roads can go, where it's not only the roads have not been damaged, so they want to get from point A to point B, but the roads have been bombed, the main roads. How do we get from here to there? So they've used the drones to find roads that would allow them to get around and get where they're going, and also to keep them safe. Milton Martin. So I said to this sister, and this is going on in my mind at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning when we're working through all of this, and we've got these thousands of tracts. And so I have suggested to them, I said, is there any possibility that you could actually use these drones and put these God's Simple Plan of Salvation tracts and fly them over the Russian soldiers where they're located and drop these tracts on the Russian army?
Amen.
They're going to look into it. So, so it wasn't my idea. It's, something that I pull out of my memory from Brother Milton Martin. Who knows what God may use to do with some of those tracts in some way, somehow, get into a Russian soldier's hand. And God will do His work. He'll always do His work. So we appreciate your continued prayers for us. I'm still struggling. Every day is a struggle to me to manage the letters, to answer all of Nita's never-ending questions of things that she's saying. Do you think we ought to do this? Which means we should be doing this. So I'm getting that, and so my mind's just going here or there every day. And like I said, some days I'm just absolutely exhausted because she's wore me out. And we just need a great deal of prayer. So we've got doors that are open to us, and this same sister is interested maybe in some of our old material. We talked in the board that we've got some books and things by the thousands that have been sitting in our warehouse. Brother Brandon's been good at getting some of this material into people's hands that were not familiar with the ministry. But they've been sending things into Zaire, which English is the main. Everybody speaks maybe their own dialect, but everybody has to learn English. And they're also going from there into the Congo. So there may be a possibility of using this ministry crossing all borders to get some of our materials into Africa. So God is always, He's opening doors and He's closing doors. That's what God does.
Yes, sir.
So doors are open. Is this in Kansas City, Missouri, or Kansas City, Kansas, that you are having starting an Arabic-speaking church?
Missouri.
Kansas City, Missouri. So an Arabic-speaking church in Kansas City, Missouri. Hopefully, and God allows an Indian Telugu speaking church here in the Atlanta area with all of the Asian Indians that are coming here, the mission field coming to us. Brother Rivers wanting Vietnamese tracts because did he tell you that the Vietnamese are coming in and having chicken farms, raising chickens?
Wow.
So the mission field continues to come.
Amen.
And God help us simply to have the eyes, the heart, spirit, ready to recognize the opportunities. And I think that's the thing that the Apostle Paul was instilling in the church at Philippi that we looked at this morning. He's wanting to instill in them and to every successive generation of Christians and churches. No matter what the circumstance may be, God is making opportunities.
Amen.
Paul had opportunities while chained and in prison. The gospel was not bound. God had a plan. There was an opportunity there. And so he's encouraging, by saying that, he's encouraging the church at Philippi to take that little piece of information. Well, what thing is happening that seems to be a negative that could actually be a positive for the furtherance of the gospel? So, you and I need to think about that. The flat tire along the side of the road. Nobody wants a flat tire along the side of the road. But it could be that flat tire along the side of the road is the opportunity for the driver that's going to come help you out, for the good citizen that stops by for a moment to give you a hand. All of these things, let's have eyes spiritually open. Not to get upset and disappointed and frustrated and discouraged at what appears to be setbacks. There are opportunities. So, you have cancer? There are opportunities in that. Yes? Circumstances come that seem to be a negative and go in the wrong direction. There's an opportunity. We just have to have the spiritual eyes to recognize it. Thank you for praying for us. Just a few thoughts here to encourage you that while Brother Bob Doom was Global Baptist Mission and the Russian Bible Society, God's work will continue.
That's right.
And I won't live long enough for me to develop into that role that Bob had for all those years. That's not reality.
Right.
But the ministry is going to continue on.
Yes, sir.
And the board that is over both GBM and the RBS are still men of vision. And Brother Brandon is a man with vision. And so I'm encouraged. God's work is going to continue to go forward. Father, we thank you for that.
Yes.
That as we look back over the history of your church, you've never failed. You've never failed your people. And your plan has always moved forward. History books might write something different. Men might have a different perspective of that when saints were being martyred. But your work was still moving forward, and it's going to move forward now, regardless of the president that we have and the laws that may change.